One thing that I think is really important as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a human in general, is to be able to admit when you're wrong about something. When I first set up the business back in 2020, and fun fact, it was actually called Whitespace Collective back at that time. But when I first set up the business back in 2020, I spent so long, and the first thing that I did was basically created a website, right? And I spent so long creating this website, probably months. And that website basically did nothing for us. It didn't bring in any leads. It didn't do a particularly good job of explaining kind of who we are and what we do. And we did a lot of stuff back then. It was basically a pretty tree in the forest that no one was there to see. That really kind of cemented in my mind, it created this belief system in my mind that websites aren't really very useful. They're not really, they're something that you can waste a lot of time on and ultimately get nothing out of. And I basically held this belief system for years and years and years, and I never put any effort into a website. I thought that it was really just kind of a box tick exercise, something that you needed as kind of a verification and credibility badge, let's say, but ultimately that it was never really a conversion tool and it didn't particularly fit into marketing in any meaningful kind of way. And it really wasn't until almost this time last year, I started working with Matt Turner, my mentor, 16 and a half years in the events industry, fantastic. And we really started to delve deeper into that belief system and the reasons why a website, even in 2026, is a pivotal part, I would try and say that, a pivotal part of an inbound marketing system. So what I want to do today in this video is break down the statement that Matt said to me in one of our final sessions, and that statement is this: the only function of this website is to persuade a potential customer as to why OG Films would do this better and differently to what they've had historically. Now, this statement right here is an absolute game changer, because if you take a couple of keywords from that statement and break them down into first principles, it essentially has shown me the entire website strategy. And that's what I want to do today. And the first word that we're going to break down is this: function. If we break down what it actually means, function is, that's terrible. Function is the objective. What is it trying to achieve? Now, a website, in my case, as a service-based business, the objective of the website should be to get someone to book a call. That is the only thing that this website should do. The next keyword that I want to take a look at is, of course, website. Now, obviously, in this section, we don't need to define what a website is. Everybody knows what a website is. But what I actually think is more interesting is to understand where this website sits in our customer journey. At what point are our customers landing on the website and what frame of mind are they in? Now, in terms of our customers, they come from three places. The first place is referrals, so people recommending us to other people who are similar to them. The second one is LinkedIn and email outbound, so we go to the customers, express our interest in working with them and see if it could be a good fit. And the third one is content, where people see the content, decide that they might be a good fit, and then they come to us. So if we look at our marketing funnel, and hopefully you know what a funnel is, right? Top, middle, and bottom of funnel in simple terms. These three feed traffic into the top of our marketing funnel. And the website basically sits somewhere in here, somewhere between the middle and the bottom of the funnel, because the end result of our marketing funnel, as we just said, is to get someone to book a call. So the website essentially sits more in the middle, but I would say towards the middle and the bottom. The website is a conversion tool, right? It converts warm traffic, or not necessarily warm traffic because this is cold, but they're kind of warm because they're already in the funnel, right? But it converts traffic into a booked call. And the way that we're going to convert our traffic from curious into interested, which would be the emotional journey that they're on, is through validation. That we are who we say we are and we can do what we say we can do. Now the question then becomes, we've got 3 different traffic sources, all with different emotional conditions coming into the funnel. So how do we design a website that ultimately needs to convert these 3 different types of people who are going to need to see different types of things in order to get them to this stage of a booked call? Well, what we're going to do is design the website with these people in mind, the LinkedIn and email people, because they're going to be the most skeptical. We've reached out to them out of nowhere. And essentially, if we design the website in a way that gets these people on board and to their action threshold, like we mentioned before, to book a call, then these two we don't really need to worry about, because if we've done the heavy lifting just here, then these two will just naturally fall into place because they're warmer, right? Referrals are the warmest people that we're going to get. Content are the second warmest people that we're going to get. And then these people are pretty cold. Now that we've covered what a website actually is and where it fits, we're going to look at Persuade. So now we're getting into the fun stuff, all the stuff that I like. Persuade. Now persuade, at first principles, we can basically break down to action via reason. But I think the more important question behind this is, what are we actually trying to persuade these people of? And essentially, I think, in my customer's mind, what we're persuading them of is this: why is it worth the risk? Why is it worth the risk to leave my current average but satisfactory video supplier and go with someone different and try something new? Our product is not a new thing to the customers. Realistically, if we work in the events industry, most of the marketing managers that we work with at some point in their career would have worked with a video team. They would have tried something in the past, they would have a current supplier that they work with, or maybe they're between suppliers. But why is it worth the risk to leave my current person, my current average and satisfactory person, and try these guys and try something new? And because we sell creative work to creative people, right? We're video people selling to marketers. We are emotionally based people, right? We are logical. Of course, we're logical. Everybody has that side to their brain. But mostly, I think the hook and the way that we're going to get these people is through emotion. So if we're looking at emotion, the way that we're going to do that, or the way that I plan on doing that, is both through the show reel, so making them think, fuck me, that's cool, right? Getting them excited, getting them inspired to do something different and show their event in a better way. And then also understanding, right? Helping them feel comfort, helping them feel like we know their situation, we know what they're going through, and we understand what they need. The next thing that we need to do in this journey is authority. And the way that we're going to do that is through case studies and projects, showing that we've got the results that they're looking for with our previous clients and that the work is fundamentally fantastic. Now that we've developed both emotion and authority, we're now into logic. So that's systems and processes. So this is the way that we do it in our process, the fact that we do 48-hour turnarounds, the fact that we look at a 12-month content strategy, the fact that we produce a variety of pieces of content that are designed to do different things for their marketing, and the systems that are behind this process. So the way in which we make that happen. That's our pre-production systems, that's our post-production systems, that's the way that we work on site, that's everything to do with planning, executing, managing, delivering a fantastic project for our clients. And finally, on this persuasion journey that we're taking our prospective customers through is the risk removal. So for people with really high action thresholds, i.e. they need all of their doubt removed and confidence filled in, we're going to look at the risk removal, which essentially is a guarantee. Now, I am a little bit scared and also really, really excited about the guarantee that I'm going to implement into our business. It may be a risk, it may be a mistake. If it is, I'll let you know. And I don't really want to cover it too much in this video because I think it's worth its own video. Now, before we move on from persuasion, I want to talk about the reasons why it is in this order, because a lot of people go straight to logic, right? They want to talk straight away about the systems and processes and how things are different. But if you don't cover off emotion and authority first, which essentially is trust, right? This is curiosity, this is trust. And then this is the logic behind that. So you're validating an emotional experience. You're validating the reasons why they think what they currently think or feel what they currently feel. And if you go straight in with logic or you go straight in with the risk removal, it feels salesy, right? It feels like you're trying to persuade them rather than just making them feel something, telling them who you are and what you've done in the past, and then leading into your logic systems and risk removal. Like, it's almost like these are perfectly teed up by these two right here. Because if you nail these two, the next question, the next logical question that somebody's got is these things right here, okay? How do you do it? And why should I trust you? The next keyword we're gonna look at here, or two keywords, is potential customer. What does that actually mean? All right, so prospects or prospective customers. The biggest question that we need to answer here is, who actually are these people? Who do we want to target? Who do we want to land on the website? Who are we building this entire thing for? All of that sort of stuff. So for me and our business, obviously we're looking at the events industry as a whole. That's the only thing that we do. And specifically that's broken down into organizers, head of events, but most importantly, senior and head of marketing. Video is a marketing tool, right? So it makes total sense that these are the main people that I'm trying to target, the senior and head of marketing. Now, everybody is going to tell you that what you need to do is figure out what these people want. That's obvious, right? But I think that's quite hard to do. It's quite hard to understand exactly what somebody wants. But what's much easier to understand, as humans, we are wired towards the negative, right? So what's much easier to understand is actually what are their doubts and what are their fears. They are landing on this website, and what is it that's ringing through their mind? What is the thing that's really blaringly obvious in their mind that they need answered? And that's going to be their doubts and their fears. And I think, based on the research that I've done, based on the experience that I have in this industry, that these are the biggest doubts that somebody is going to be landing on my website with. Are these people actually good, right? Are they competent enough to understand exactly what I'm looking for, exactly what we need as an organization, as a company that's trying to grow? Can I trust them around my stakeholders? This is so key. Are they good and are they competent enough that I can trust them around my sponsors, around my delegates, around my exhibitors, the people that are actually paying to be a part of my event? Can I actually trust them around these people? And the biggest one that I think that no one talks about is the career risk. If we think about what I spoke about in the past, why is it worth the risk? I think this is the biggest risk that we need to overcome for those senior marketing managers. If they recommend to their head of events, to their event organizer, to the founder of this events company, a new video team, a new way of doing things, a different thing to what they might have done in the past, which is traditional and safe, it's going to risk their career. They are putting their career, not necessarily, I don't think they're going to get fired, right? That's not what I'm saying here. But I think that ultimately, like, what we need to do is we need to boost them up. We need to be so good that this was an incredible decision and you are a really smart person for knowing that something was wrong and that we needed something different, right? So it's a risk to them, it's a risk to their credibility, it's a risk to everything that they've done in the past to get to where they want to get to from where they were to where they are right now. They are putting that on the line by suggesting that they do something different to what has traditionally been done in the past. So if we take this and we move it over here into the wants, right? Because we can invert these into the wants. All that the website needs to do for our prospect, which is the senior marketing managers, is to give them enough confidence and make them feel safe enough to take the first step in that potentially risky decision of changing their current supplier. Okay, so we know who we're speaking to. Now let's look at us. Better. We're also going to look at differently. But before we do both of these, I think it's important to cover this one down here, historically. Because if we don't know what we're comparing to, how can we possibly contrast these two? So we'll cover this and then we'll jump back to these two. All right, so now we're looking at the history, or historically, right? And that is the past experience. So what is or what has been the past experience of the senior marketing managers within the events industry as it pertains to video suppliers and video people in general. Now, I think what we can do is break the experience down into three different buckets. We've got the technicians, we've got the amateurs, and we've got general perception of video people. So the first one, the technician, I've broken this down into different points. So they are expensive, but they're uninspired. They don't really care about the end product. They don't really care about the client. They're just clock watchers, right? They're just there to do a job, to get their day rate, to get their, sign their check or whatever, and ultimately give a satisfactory but really kind of uninspired, not very creative, doesn't want to get involved, doesn't want to talk to anyone, just wants to kind of sit at the back and do their thing and get in and get out. The next one is our amateurs, right? These people are cheap, but they're kind of incompetent. And I don't mean this in a harsh way. I just mean that they haven't got enough experience to really know what they're doing, which means that they're a yes man. So they'll say yes to every single idea that comes from the clients. They're not going to be organized. They're not going to have done the appropriate preparation for the shoot, which means they're going to miss shots. They're going to miss opportunities. They're going to miss speaking to the right people. And they're not really aware of the bigger picture. They don't really understand, purely just from an experience perspective, how video fits into the larger marketing system overall, and ultimately how valuable it can be if it's done correctly. And then finally, the general category over here, I think this pertains to both of these, is that video people are generally quite geeky. They're generally quite awkward. They don't have the best social skills in the world. That's kind of why they're interested in the technical side of cameras and playing around with settings and all of that sort of stuff. And fundamentally, that you don't trust those people around your VIPs, around your sponsors, around your delegates, around the people that have paid to come to this event, right? You're gonna, you have to be around them all the time. You have to hold their hand. You have to really babysit them on site just to make sure that they're getting everything. And that's, again, not the experience that you want when you're in a chaotic environment, which is the events industry overall. I think the real value in breaking this down and truly understanding the past experience of our clients is that it shows me the gap, right? It shows me where we need to be as a company, how we need to position ourselves in order to not be any of these, which means that we need to be young enough, like the amateurs, that we understand the game of social media, we understand the world of content, we have grown up with this, right? We get it on a fundamental level, we understand what it needs to do, but we are experienced enough, like the technicians, to come in and be proficient and offer quality work, but also that we are personable enough, i.e. we're not geeky, awkward, and that we are trusted by our clients to be around their VIPs, to be around their sponsors, to speak with people, to be that personal element, that personal touch within an event that's going to get the best out of people. All right, we're nearly there. We're getting into the last bit of it. So better and different. And why have I put verses in the middle? Now, a lot of people might think that better fundamentally is different, but they are two very different things. What better is, I think anyway, is our results, right? The results that we fundamentally get for our clients, the reason why people want to work with us and continue to come back to work with us time and time again. And in terms of different, this one, very simply, is just the USPs, right? The unique selling points of your company. If we look at our results and what we actually do for our clients and why they come back to us year on year, you will have to excuse me, but I am blowing my own trumpet here. But our clients get 12 months of marketing out of their 1 or 2 day event, right? They are extending the life of their event throughout the entire season until it's time for the next one. They get increased views and increased engagement, which ultimately leads to more awareness on social media, on digital platforms, on email, all of that sort of stuff. This then drives tickets, sponsors, inquiries, whatever the client is looking for, if they're looking to get more delegates, if they're looking to get more sponsors, if they're looking to increase the amount of exhibitors, right? All of this, essentially, all of this will do just that, right? That then leads to event growth over time. So year on year, we're growing the event, we're helping them to strategically, year on year, plan out what they're looking to do and what their content looks like from a marketing perspective. And finally, we've also got the 48-hour turnaround here. Notice how none of this here, I haven't said a single word about the fact that the quality of our footage is better, or the interview questions that we ask are deeper and will get better answers from the sponsors, or that the level of experience that we have in the industry, all of that stuff, right? That's what people want to talk about. That's what standard video people want to talk about. But you have to look at it through the eyes of your clients. They do not care about the quality of your footage, about the fact that you film in 4K, about the fact that you film on Sony cameras with the latest lenses and all of that sort of shit, right? They don't care about that. This is the stuff that they care about. And that's what we do. That is our results. That is why we are better than our competition. All right, now let's look at our USPs. So the first one, and I think one of our strongest points, is that we are a young team. I do not want to hide this. We are a young team that has grown up with social media. We understand the game. We understand everything to do with the way that social media works, the fact that you need both quality and quantity, the fact that you need to be doing specific things, that like specific videos for specific outputs, and that a general highlight video is not going to be enough. This is one of our core USPs right here. We're also a small team. Again, do not want to hide this, right? I think that a lot of senior marketing managers in the events industry specifically are used to these big gargantuan companies where you just get handed off to an account manager, from a salesperson to an account manager to an operations person, and you never really develop like a really core, lovely, actual relationship with your video supplier, because it's kind of this shrouded organization. And the feedback that I get from all of our clients is that we become part of their team. And I'll come on to this in a second, but we develop such a strong relationship with our clients, and that we really, truly do care about the growth of their event overall, right? Moving on, we only do events. It is the only thing that we do. We don't do weddings on the weekends. We don't do corporate videos on a Tuesday. We only do events, and everything from our kit to our planning, to our team, to our freelance support, to our editing, everything is geared around becoming the best at event videography that we possibly can. The next thing is our extensive planning process. And if you watch my previous vlog where I talk about the way that we manage projects remotely, you will see everything that we do on a pre-production side to ensure that the team on site has everything they could possibly need to do a successful job and get you what you're looking for from the event footage. We also have a tiered pricing system. So it starts on a really low tier, 1 day, 1 person, 1 video, essentially. And then that moves all the way to retained video support. So constant content over time, right? And you can work with us on a variety of different pricing tiers, which means that if you just want to dip your toe in the water, you can start off there. Or if you want to go all the way and really see what we can do for you, you can go to that pricing package as well. But it means that that relationship can develop over time, and you don't need to invest tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds with us to kind of get that first experience, right? You can dip your toe in the water, you can see kind of what we're about and how we work, and then slowly move up through that pricing. The next one, and I think one of the biggest ones for us, is that we become part of your team. I have testimonials that say this, you can go and watch them, but essentially we are a fractional outsourced video marketing team. That's the point that we're trying to get to, is that we want our clients to feel like we are as much a part of their team as their existing team that they've currently got. And the reason why that's so important is because the events industry is built around relationships. It's built around bringing people together and having these core connections, which is only going to get more and more important into the future. But that is our basic USPs right here. And this is the results that we get for our clients. So better versus different, or better and different, is results, USPs, and these are all of ours right here. All right, we've made it. The only function of your website is to persuade a potential customer as to why OG Films would do this better and differently to what they've had historically. I have loved making this video. This whole process, I think, is one of the most fulfilling and fascinating aspects of growing a business. You start off scrappy, you don't really know what you're doing, and by niching down and by understanding the exact type of customer that you want to speak to, you can do all of this. And I think like this, for me, is so interesting, so fascinating, and it's bridging that problem-solving, creative logical side of my brain, and I've just loved it. Hopefully you can tell that. Hopefully it's been useful for you. If you are a video person, then I would encourage you to do the same thing, right? Really think about your customers and understand exactly what your website, your content, your marketing needs to do for your customers. If you are an event organizer, marketer, head of events, right? The type of people that I'm looking for, hopefully I got some of this stuff right. You can let me know down in the comments below. The changes that we implement into the website are fundamentally going to be the proof of concept for me to know whether we got this right. I'm not expecting to get it right on the first go, that's important to say, but we are implementing some serious changes into the website, which I will cover in the next video, so stick around for that. I truly hope you've enjoyed this as much as I've enjoyed making it, but if not, then that's okay too, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.